welcome back. I appreciate you guys and all you do. Obviously, it's really good to see everyone back. Obviously, this is a really exciting time. Everyone is 0-0, and every call I've made has been great, and every story you guys have written has been positive. But no, I think it's a great time. I think there's a lot of positive going on here at Marshall, and kicking off the football season is one of the things that we all look forward to. So really excited about that. Excuse me. We are transitioning as a football program into what we call execution season. You got spring ball, summer camp, fall camp, and we kind of titled the season execution season because really that's what it comes down to is execution. In execution season, either you did or you didn't. My goal is to win every game by one more point than the opponent. And that's really what it comes down to. Obviously, we're still trying to improve. We're still trying to create depth. We're still trying to create opportunities for guys to create value for themselves. But at the end of the day, you either did or you didn't. And that's what the beauty of execution season is. It doesn't matter how good of a spring we had. It doesn't matter who had a good fall camp. On Saturday afternoons and some Thursdays, you either did or you didn't. And I think our players understand that. And you've got to do all the things you need to do to give yourself a chance to execute on game day. That's preparation, that's taking care of your body, that's understanding how to practice, all of those things. But at the end of the day, if we have a great Tuesday practice and we don't execute on Saturdays, it doesn't mean anything. So what we've got to do is understand that, take the necessary steps to get to that. I think our players and our leaders have embraced it, and I think we're going to be able to give ourselves a really good chance to have some really successful Saturdays. Obviously, each week's going to be different, but we're excited about it. Obviously, looking forward to Albany. They're 1-0. They got a lot of confidence right now. They're a little bit ahead of us because obviously they know what they have in their team. We don't. We know what we have from a practice and a preparation standpoint, but game day is different. They've had a chance to go through game day. They've had a chance to see how the ebbs and flows of a game affects their players, and how to correct that and make coaching decisions based on that. A lot of respect for Coach Gattuso. He played at Penn State, and obviously my time at Penn State, he got a chance to come around a bunch. So a lot of respect for him. His teams always play hard. His teams are always well coached. So we're looking forward to the opportunity. They've got a really good football team. They are much improved from last year. You look at last year's film, then you look at the game they had last Saturday. They are much improved. I think their quarterback is a really good player. He kind of makes the offense go. He's got some really good receivers. Last year they had a tight end who's now with the Cleveland Browns, and a lot of the attention went to him. This year he's spreading it all over the place. He can run. He can scramble. And he's not running to try and go score a touchdown. He's scrambling to keep the play alive. He'll run when he needs to. He's got a lot of moxie. He's slippery. He doesn't get sacked a lot. You see him spin out of a lot of sacks. Reverse field, throw back across the field. He gets the ball out of his hand. Probably will be one of the better quarterbacks we play this year. Defensively, they've got Coach Gattuso is a D-line kind of track record, and his D-lines always play really well. They've got two D-ends, number 8 and number 4, who combined for, I think, like 7 sacks last weekend against a really good Fordham team who last year had one of the higher scoring offenses in the country. They combined for, I think it was 7 sacks and a bunch of tackles for loss. Both of them have great leverage, great twitch, great power, can change directions, can speed the power on you, can bull rush you. They play really well. You could tell they're older guys. Their Mike linebacker is kind of the captain of the defense. I don't know if he has that title, but I think he had like 12 tackles last week. So this is not just the old, hey, open up the game, open up the season, Marshall rolls in and just rolls these guys. This is a good football team. I like that because we do need to find out who we are. We got 40 new players on our team, and we need to find out who we're going to be. So it's going to be a challenge. We're looking forward to it. And I think it'll be a really good weekend. So with that, we'll open it up with questions.
Make sure you use the mic, please. Pass it around. Thank you.
Coach, you expand a little bit on their quarterback. Is it more his athletic ability, his football IQ? As you mentioned, he seems to be what everything goes through with that team.
Yeah, I think obviously he knows the system because you can tell by some of the things he does pre-snap and post-snap and how quickly he does it that he knows where the ball should be going. I think he's athletic, which makes it tough. Whenever you have an athletic quarterback, you have a different dimension. And I also think he understands that playing quarterback is not just pull it down and run it when things don't go well. It's pull it down, let the coverage break down, and I can still hit a big shot down the field. And he's got arm talent. He can get it out quick. He doesn't hold on to it very long, which makes him hard to sack. And he can throw on the move, which makes him hard to kind of cover because everything that he does is telling all the defenders in the secondary to come down and try and make a tackle. Well, you still got guys behind you that you need to cover. So he puts a lot of pressure on defenses because of his athleticism.
You talked about them having a game week one, and while there are some advantage to that, they kind of know who they have, but you also get a chance to look at them on film. They don't have your game film yet. Is that an advantage, Marshall, there? Or?
Well, I think it's an advantage for us because if we'd have rolled out there and played the team that we thought we were going to play last year, we probably would have got surprised. Now, I don't know what that means. Does that mean we win, lose, don't start the way we want? But they're a different team. I also think a little bit of where we are in college football. They've got some transfers on their team that are playing for them that change the dynamic of their football program. So I do think while they kind of get the advantage of knowing who they are, we do get the advantage of knowing, okay, this is not the same team. Same colors, same uniform, same coaches, but different players in different spots playing with a little different mentality. And when I say mentality, meaning you got a guy who last year was a junior, now is a senior, or a guy who was a transfer at another school who's coming in now and playing at different spots. So I think I would rather have it this way. So I hope every team can play one game before we play them so we can get a chance to see what we're getting into. But I think obviously the way the schedule laid out, it was good for us because we don't have a lot of familiarity with Albany, if that makes sense. If it had been a team that we've had some familiarity with, then we could kind of look at their roster and see who's there, which one or two guys replaced. But when you don't have a lot of familiarity, you kind of got to get all the information that you can before you go to war.
Coach, since it's game week, can you talk a little bit about some of the guys that may have surprised you in camp and that maybe the fans will see on Saturday that they're not entirely familiar with?
Yeah, I'm going to hold that because that's why they played week 0 and we play week 1. A little bit of the gamesmanship advantage is we do have 40 new guys. I think some of the guys that we've already talked about, right? Everybody knows J.J. Roberts here. He's been here since the spring. I think he's going to do some really good things. He's got a presence about him, a veteran presence about him. I think he's really kind of adapted to how we do things here and is now able to apply his own kind of strengths. Keyshawn, coming in from App State, I think he's done some really good things. A lot of the guys who will, I won't say surprise you, but have had really good camps are some of the guys that's been here. Caleb McMillan has probably had a really good camp. Obviously, our quarterback Cam has done a really good job. The D-line has been kind of, I won't say a work in progress, but when you replace that many guys, you're kind of waiting to see who fills what roles. I think there's been some guys who have stepped up in that role. I think there's been some guys who have also created flexibility for us, in those roles. Can you play inside? Can you play outside? Same thing with the linebackers. Can you play, Sam and Mike and Will? JJ could probably play 3 or 4 spots in the back end. So without giving away too many secrets, we do get to hold on to them for 3 more days. And honestly, not to try and be, not useful because I know you guys have a job to do. With 40 new guys, that's tough. And if I'm an opponent, I don't know, who's going to be out there. And part of game planning and part of understanding what you're going against is knowing who's going to be out there. The flip side of that is I don't know. I've seen these guys for, a month, but we haven't had any lights. We haven't had any fans. We haven't had anybody hit us in the mouth. We haven't had adversity hit. So I told the coaches today, we got to find out fast in this game what type of team we have. Last year we knew what we had. We had a lot of older guys. You think back to the Coastal game and when we got down fast. But, our players never batted an eye, settled in and finally played the last 2.5 quarters, like we'd been used to playing. They were probably a little bit too fast, got out in front of us. But I don't know if we get down 3-0, is the team going to crack? I don't know because we haven't been able to put ourselves in that situation. So a little bit of this is trying to find out what we have, as well, and what type of team do we have. Obviously, I think we have a good team because we have good leadership and all that, but with 40 new guys, there's going to be some guys out there who I don't know what's going to happen when someone, hits them in the mouth. I don't know what's going to happen when they get blocked or they don't make a catch. And that's part of going into week one we got to try to figure out.
Yeah, just a quick follow-up. With Cam, what has impressed you about his development? Just the whole package of what
I
he's
think
doing?
the consistency, you watch him now, you watch him go through practice. There's very few, if any, times where you say, what were you doing there? And last year there were a couple where you were kind of like, what were you thinking? Now, even when he's not 100% correct, you can see what he was thinking or you can see what he was trying to do. And the consistency of it, right? He's come out every day and he's been the same guy. I think that's what's going to ultimately create sustainable play from him. Now, is that going to be high or low? We got to figure that out. But when you can come out every day and be consistent in what you do, you're consistent in your approach, your MAs aren't, here and here and here and here, you're kind of, right on par with everything. I think that shows that he has a really good grasp of the system. He's really comfortable in the system. Sometimes you can understand the system but not be comfortable in it. I think he's at a point now to where he understands it and he's comfortable in it.
Well, another personnel question. I know a lot of fans are excited to see 22 out there. It was this time last year we found
Me
out about
too.
his injury. So just how's he looking?
The last time I saw a running back kind of go into this year, this junior year-ish year, whatever you want to call it, I don't even know now with COVID, it was number 26 from Penn State. And I don't say that to compare them. I say that because they both had the same approach in the offseason. It was a different approach. It was, I'm taking care of my body. It was, both of them are hugely religious. It was, I'm really spending time, getting myself mentally, physically ready to play. It was, okay, what does my body fat percentage need to be and why? And I'm working on that every day. It was asking different questions in the meeting. Saquon went on to have an unbelievable 2016 year, and in 2017 he had a great year. But that's the type of mentality. I can't speak for the execution. That's what we play the game for. But as far as the approach and the consistency in approach and the maturity in his approach, it's been off the charts. I mean, sometimes I look at the guy and I'm like, who are you? I mean, you were talking about a guy who would come to practice and just kind of not be there, but, it was just like, hey, it's practice. I mean, now he's, counting reps and asking questions and doing things in practice to kind of, separate himself. You can tell there's about 4 guys who are practicing at a elite level. Those are the guys that play well, right? Owen, Eli, Ali, those guys are the guys who it's hard to see them do something wrong. Now, that doesn't mean they can't get better and all those things, but it's hard to see them not finish a play. It's hard to see them not bend down and tag off on the hip. It's hard to see them not chase the ball on defense. It's hard to see Ali not take the ball to the end zone every time. You know what I mean? So just his approach. I think the injury is probably the best thing to happen to him because if you think about it, the first time he touched football in college, he scored 4 touchdowns. That was easy. He really didn't know how he did it. He just scored 4 touchdowns in a college football game. So you're talking about a kid that just came out of high school, had been in a redshirt year or whatever you want to call it, and the first time he gets in the game, he scores 4 touchdowns. Well, it's hard to say, okay, reel yourself back, and now you got to understand about taking care of your body. You got to understand about process. You got to understand about preparation. He's like, well, I just scored 4 touchdowns. I mean, how hard do I need to prepare? So I think the injury really helped him understand that there is more to the game. Taking every single day and being humble and appreciative is probably the more thing I've seen. He's humble and appreciative of every single day. Meetings, weight room, after practice, before practice, the whole 9.
Coach, at this stage of the season now, as you get ready for game week, what have you seen up to this point from those guys up front that'll protect Cam and open up holes for receiving?
I think the beauty of that front group is we've got a lot of veterans. Really we only got one guy that's kind of new in that group, and I think what has happened, and this goes back way before me. There's been a standard or a mentality in that room. I was talking to Logan Osborne the other day. It probably goes all the way back to Coach Marable, and just the mentality that he kind of instilled. And then what happened is over time it got passed down. Porter and Tucker were in my office the other day, and they were talking about You guys got to help me out. They go down and play UCF in a bowl game few years ago, where they were both like freshmen. And that class of O-linemen kind of passed down to them, that senior class kind of passed down to Tucker and Ozzie and those guys, what it means to play O-line here, the toughness, the preparation, that you're not going to get any credit, so don't look for it, just show up and do your job. And they have kind of passed that down, and it's gotten to the point now where it's kind of who the room is, you know. So I feel really good about it. I think Driscoll, as you saw today, he's got his Senior Bowl watch list deal. I think that's a huge testament to the work he's put in. I tell them, watch list just means they're watching you. You still got to go play. But when you get recognized on the national level at that position, you're doing something. I think Ozzie, his flexibility right now gives us a lot of options at center and guard. Tucker has played every position under the sun. He's in a really good position. Trent Holler played a lot of football for us last year. So I feel really good about those guys. We are still making progress on, who are the next couple of guys. Jalen Slappy, Tariq Montgomery, both of those guys have come in, done a really good job. Trent Fraley, they're younger guys that have done a really good job this camp. The kind of question mark on those guys is you don't have a lot of game reps to really say, hey, this is what they're going to do in a game. So getting them ready in practice is going to be huge because they're going to have to play for us at some point this season. But that's probably the most improved unit on the team right now. And that comes from their hard work, and Coach Legg has done a really good job with them as well. I'm excited to see them go out and execute.
You mentioned the defensive ends for Albany got so many sacks. They had 8 sacks as a team. How much of that was attacking defense? I don't know how much Fordham struggled with, but just what's their style of defense?
I think obviously Coach Gattuso is a D-line. Kind of like I'm a running back guy, right? So I kind of see things from the running back position. Even though I'm a head coach, and I think what has happened is Coach Gattuso's mentality has flowed into that D-line room because you can tell they play with a little bit more edge. And what happens is because the D-line plays well, think about our group last year, because our D-line played well, everybody else on defense now is playing better because the DBs know the ball's going to have to come out quick. The linebackers know, hey, if I fit the gaps the right way, I know this D lineman, I can trust he's going to be there. They're an upfield attacking group. They really do a really good job of compressing the pocket on passers. They kind of took Fordham's tackles back a couple times and really compressed the pocket on them. And then, especially number 8, he's got enough twitch to where he can up and under you. So you can't just, overset and try to and muscle him. You got to use your technique because he can go up and under, he can go around you, he can, speed to power. Those are the tough guys to defend, the guys that can do it all, and that's one of the things that, he's shown, at least in this last game, that he's shown he can do.
I know that you guys as a program are excited for the season to start. Obviously, the Virginia Tech game, a little bit down the road, announced as a sellout. Does that speak to kind of the buzz around this program right now and the engaging aspect for the fans?
I expect Albany to be a sellout. I don't know why we haven't announced it yet, Grant, but, the expectation for this football team is to win every game, and I accept that. Well, the expectation for the fans is to show up every game. If we're going to be in this thing together, we got to be in this thing together, and it can't be, because we're playing X school, everybody wants to show up. If I coach like that, you guys won't want me here. Because we're playing X school, I'm going to coach really, really hard. And that's not a knock because I know there are a lot of fans that do show up, but we need more. We need some people to actually get in the car and drive 4 and 5 hours because that's what we do. And that's what Marshall football is about. I think we have shown, I'm not saying we're perfect, I'm not saying we're there by any stretch of the imagination. I think we, as a department, university-wide, has shown that we're making strides and making efforts to improve things around here. Now we need the fans to do their part and come and cheer and come and be loud and support, regardless of the opponent, regardless of the outcome. It's our job as a football coach and basketball coach and tennis coach and every other coach around here to win every game. That's the expectation. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Okay, well, if that's the expectation for us in our program, which I fully accept, the expectation is for the fans to fill the stadiums and the gyms and the courts and the pools. I don't understand why we have I still haven't understand why we have such an issue. I don't care if you live 6 hours away or 12 hours away. You get in your car and you support your family every weekend. People go to family reunions all over the world. You come to every family reunion here. I just think that's where we got to get out of this. Well, I'm going to come to this game, but no, we're coming to every game. If I just said, well, the team's not going to show up to the Virginia Tech game, we're not going to show up. We got something to do. You know what? We got something to do. Everybody would be like, well, what is that? Well, the person that should be sitting in section 328, seat B, you're supposed to be here. And I don't say that in a negative way. I just think we've got to change our thinking. I think the university, I think Brad Smith and Christian Spears and all the other department heads and the board, they're showing we're making strides to do things in a different way. Now I think we've got to start to do things together in a different way. And I know there's life. Trust me. I slept on a hospital cot last night. There's life. I get it. But if you can't come, give your tickets to your neighbor. It's that simple. Somebody's got to be in your seats. Somebody's got to be in every seat out there. And when we get to that level, no different than when we get to the level to where we've got depth across the board and we execute consistently, we will win every game. But we can't say, well, when they win every game will come. You know, when basketball wins every game will come. When baseball wins every game, that's not how it works. We're in this together. We're a family. And trust me, there are a lot of people who do. There's a lot of fans out there who are at every event, who are supportive, and I'm not saying that those people aren't, appreciated. But we need more. Like, we need more wins. 9 wins is great, awesome, high five everybody, but we need more. We're not satisfied as a program with 9 wins. We're not satisfied with half a stadium or half a gym or half a court. And until we get to there, I'm going to come up here every week and say every game should be we should sell out the bye week. It should be people that just don't even care that we play or not. They should just be here, man. I got a chance to come to the Joan, man. We're going to sell out the bye week. And we are making strides from a holistic organizational standpoint. We've got to make sure that we get everybody on board, and that's what hopefully this season will show. Good? All right, well, appreciate you guys. Look forward to seeing you after the game Saturday and all the rest of this year. Go Herd.